The story that everybody is talking about today is Simone Biles. So Simone Biles dropped out of a team event in the Olympics, and she basically cited mental health reasons. Actually, let me pause here and just give you what the story says on this. There's more to life than just gymnastics, Biles told reporters. It's very unfortunate that it happened at this stage because I definitely wanted it to go a little bit better. Take it one day at a time, and we're going to see how the rest goes. The 24-year-old gymnast, quote, will be assessed daily to determine medical clearance for future competitions, according to the New York Post, adding that her departure was initially listed as an unspecified medical issue. So people thought she was physically injured, and then it came out eventually. She says, no, I'm basically mentally injured. I have a mental health issue, and I have to address it. Quote, we're going to take it a day at a time and see what happens, she said. I have to focus on my mental health. I just don't trust myself as much anymore. I don't know if it's age. I'm just more nervous when I do gymnastics. I feel like I'm also not having as much fun. And I know this Olympic Games, I wanted it to be for myself. I'm still doing it for other people. While she did leave the team's competition, Biles is expected to compete in the all-around competition, which begins on Thursday. And the 4 gold medalists will compete as an individual in other apparatus events. Quote, physically, I feel good. I'm in shape, Biles told NBC's Hoda Kotb. Emotionally, that kind of varies on the time and the moment. Coming here to the Olympics and being the head star of the Olympics is not an easy feat. So we're just trying to take it one day at a time, and we'll see. So people are comparing this to what happened with Naomi Osaka recently, where she was told she has to deal with the media, and then she was like, I'd rather just not compete in this major than deal with the media. And so she was like, I'm not going to compete in the major. And she basically said, I have extreme social anxiety and mental health issues, and I simply can't do it, and I don't want to do it. And so she pulled out. There's actually been a number of examples of this fairly recently when it comes to golf and the PGA Tour. It's a guy by the name of Matt Wolff. And he's a young guy, just got on tour. He basically came out and said, for 5 months, I was massively depressed, had severe anxiety, was feeling really nihilistic, didn't think any of it was worth it, and didn't know what to do to dig myself out of the hole. And he basically took a bunch of time off, I think. Bubba Watson's another guy who says, I have, mental health issues and I've been struggling with it. And these people are now coming out and talking about this. Now, what I find so fascinating about the conversation going on here is how polarized it is. So if you turn on a lot of the sports talk channels, if you turn on the right-wing commentary, man, they are very clear about their opinion. And their opinion is, you got to shut up, you got to suck it up. This is what a warrior does. You go out there and you fight. And I mean, we can point to countless examples. Michael Jordan, when he had the flu and he played through the flu, and legendary performance. Tiger Woods in 2008 won the U.S. Open on a broken leg, literally. And these are things that, this is what a legend is made of. This is what GOAT status comes from. And there is something to be said about that mindset, where the people who look at adversity, see a mountain that it's impossible to climb, and they're like, fuck it, we got to try to climb it. And then they try. Sometimes you get there and sometimes you don't. But, the search for meaning and purpose is found in the process of waging the fight, even when it feels like it's impossible to wage the fight. So I actually have very, very mixed feelings on this, and I want to lay them out, and I'm curious what everybody else thinks. Because, yes, on the one hand, there is something that's super appealing about that, almost like one person versus the world dynamic, where it's like, I don't care what the fuck gets in my way. I have a one-track mind. I'm going to dedicate myself and then rededicate myself and then fight on no matter what the hell gets in my way. I'm not stopping. I think there's something that human beings look at in that, and it's appealing. It makes us have admiration, and we view it as inspirational, because then we think, well, a broken leg didn't stop him from winning the U.S. Open. Well, what the fuck? So, I have a tiny headache and I don't want to do my job now. So there definitely is something to say about that. And another point that the conservative commentators are making is like, how would everybody react if this was LeBron James and it was the NBA Finals? If LeBron James came out and was like, I don't want to play today. I have mental health issues that I need to address and I just can't do it, so I'm not going to do it. How would people react? there may be a gender difference in the sense that it is very possible that people would look at the LeBron situation and sort of be like, you kidding me? Step up. What are you talking about? But for Simone Biles, now this is the other reaction. The other reaction is, I've seen this a lot in what I would call like polite society. So like the non-conservative, respectable, civility, liberal outlets. Their take is the polar opposite of the conservatives. And their take is like, this is courageous and this is brave for Simone Biles to do this. And so the reason why I say I'm split is for this reason. There is something that's like uniquely more honest about doing what she's doing. Whether or not you like it is irrelevant. Just like with the Naomi Osaka thing, just like with Simone Biles, this is the first time, maybe in history, this era is the first era, maybe in history, that you have athletes who are just being open and honest about what they're feeling. And there is something to be said for truth for the sake of truth. That in the past, it would have been like, hey, suck it up and push that down. But now it's like, no, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I'm thinking and exactly what I'm feeling. And, you know, sort of got to credit her for that. The other thing is, the Olympics are kind of a scam. Tim Dillon made this point on Twitter. The Olympics are a giant scam, really. And so if somebody says, I don't want to play in your stupid fucking shitty scam anymore, can you really blame them? She's a person. She has the right to do whatever the fuck she wants to do. And, you know, I don't think these people are getting paid for this. Maybe the issue with Simone Biles is different. I don't know if maybe she has some sponsorship deals or whatever. I don't know. But the Olympics specifically, I don't think they pay anybody. And I do think the Olympics is a giant scam. So if she's like, hey, I want to tap out of this giant scam, I don't see why anybody could be mad at her. The other points that I think are interesting is nobody's talking about the part of her commentary. Now, I don't know if it was listed in this article that I just read to you guys, but I saw her full commentary in the press conference afterwards. And she also says that basically, like, I would have fucked it up and I would have ruined it for them, and I couldn't live with myself if I did that. Funny enough, nobody's really talking about that part of the commentary. They're only talking about the mental health part of the commentary. Now, granted, she is sort of contradicting herself a little bit. It's like, well, hold on. Are you pulling out for your own mental health, or are you pulling out because you think you're going to fuck it up, and so you care more for the team and you're doing it to protect the team? Which is it? I mean, I guess she could say, hey, it's both things, but it's funny how the media and everybody's talking about just one part of that, the mental health part of it. If you look at her full commentary in the press conference, she does basically say, listen, when I used to do this, it was easy, it was smooth, we'd have a great practice in the morning. She always naps before these competitions. I would nap, I'd sleep just fine, I'd wake up, I'd go to do these things, and I wouldn't be nervous, and I'd nail it every time. And what happened this day is we had an okay workout in the morning, and then I went to take a nap, could barely sleep at all. Then, we went to, the stadium, and for a brief period, I felt like I had conned myself, but the second we walked out there, I knew, hey, something's off here, and I'm going to fuck up, and I don't want to ruin it for these girls. And so that's another part of the commentary that nobody's talking about, and I don't know why nobody's talking about that, because that's definitely relevant to the conversation. So, she says, I don't trust myself as much anymore. I don't know if it's age, I'm just more nervous when I do gymnastics. And then the other point is, she basically says, I don't even really like doing this anymore, which is kind of heartbreaking. But listen, that is ruthlessly honest. As human beings, we all like the idea of seeing somebody who's a monster and an expert and the best in the world at any one individual thing. And again, we saw that with Michael Jordan. We saw that with Tiger Woods. Tiger's actually a great example because there were articles that came out that exposed how during like the peak of his powers, 2007, 2008, he was seriously considering leaving the PGA Tour to become a Navy SEAL. He wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps in the military. And he was training with Navy SEALs at one point. And he hurt his knee and had other injuries as a result of the hardcore training that he was doing. But he was this close. In fact, there may have been times he said it to his caddy and his confidants that I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm out. And so again, the idea of somebody who is a robot, who does have that one-track mind, who is a warrior for one thing, and they love every second of it, that's what we like to see. But the fact of the matter is, that's not the way the real world works. It's a lot more complex than that. And people's lives are difficult and complicated, and you want to know a good way to make yourself go fucking crazy? Do one thing over and over and over and over for like a decade or more. Now, when you see the finished product and they nail it, you're like, oh my God, that's incredible. I want to do that. Do you really fucking want to do that? Do you want to spend every waking moment for a decade or more dedicated to one thing? You don't think that by like year 3.5, you're like, I sort of fucking hate this now. Because most people would sort of fucking hate it. And so I think one of the problems is that Simone Biles is sort of bursting the fairy tale bubble for people, where she's basically saying, like, what you think this shit is, it is not. It is not. It's actually a nightmare. And it's actually miserable. And I don't even like it anymore. I don't even like it anymore. So, I mean, those are some of my thoughts on this. Really, I'm all over the place. But the other point I want to make is maybe it's not even true about the LeBron James thing. Like, maybe it is true that if LeBron were to say, I can't play in this game because I have severe mental health struggles, and what am I going to do? Maybe it is true that we're at the point now where polite society would be like, hey, what do you want to... Can't go after him. He's telling you what the issue is, and he's being upfront about it, and you can't force somebody to do something. I think that there is... Anybody who's dealt with, like, depression, anxiety, or PTSD, or a serious mental health issue, I think they're going to be more sympathetic to Simone Biles here. Because, I mean, sometimes you just can't bring yourself to do some shit, no matter what. And to have people on the outside sort of harshly judge that, it's like, what the fuck do you know? Like, who the fuck are you? What do you know? What do you know? You have no idea what any individual is going through at any given moment. You have no idea. None. So I think that's also the case. So me overall, listen, I don't know what I believe on it. I don't know. I mean, she's an adult. She's an individual. She can do whatever she wants. And clearly she did what she wanted. And maybe there is something that is courageous in that, because she did this, had to know that, like, at least half the country was going to be like, fuck you, you selfish bitch. She had to know that was going to happen. And maybe to do that, knowing that blowback would come, maybe that is kind of brave. Maybe that is courageous. But there's definitely strong argument on the other side that no, the definition of courage and bravery is like, even when you don't want to do it, you sort of chin up, chest out, and go forward and plow through it and do the best that you can. And then afterwards, you'll get a feeling of relief, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I tried, you know? So I don't know. I don't know what I believe on this. I know she has the right to do whatever she wants to do. I know the Olympics are a scam, and I know that it's hard to judge as an outsider what any individual is going through. So on the one hand, I respect it, and more power to her. But on the other hand, yes, I still have that thing in my brain where I do have next level admiration and respect for somebody who sort of says, hey, I'm going to stop at nothing to get this shit done. I don't care what pains I have. Kobe Bryant, you kidding me? Putting a team on his back and getting them into the playoffs when he had like no help, and he ruptured his Achilles in a heroic effort to keep them in it. Like, I look at that and I'm like, damn. Now that's amazing. Kobe very famously came out and said a number of times, if I had injuries, I would always play through them. And one of the things he said is, well, it's not really about me. It's about, there's a 7-year-old kid in the audience who's never seen Kobe Bryant play before, and I'm not going to give him a half-assed effort or sit out. I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to play as hard as I can. I mean, when I hear that, I think that's courage, and that's bravery, and that's amazing. But Kobe was also lucky in this sense. He always felt like he loved basketball every waking second. So that's different if Simone Biles sort of doesn't like gymnastics now. You know what I'm saying? So I can't judge it. She can do whatever she wants to do, but I don't think I'll ever be able to drill the thing out of my head where I look at the people who soldier on and say utmost respect to them. And because, again, that's what legends are made of. That's what heroes are made of. And that fact doesn't change because one GOAT decided, hey, I have to tap out for a little bit here. But we'll see. We'll see what she ends up doing in the individual thing. The team event, the Americans still got silver. So, And again, Simone thinks, hey, if I was in, I probably would have fucked it up for them worse. Who knows? Who knows? But as you could tell, I'm very conflicted on this. I'm very curious what everybody thinks. I will say this. I'm most surprised that not more people feel like I feel about it, where they kind of see everything here. Everything I've seen is hyper polarized. And it is sort of a partisan divide, too. Most people on the right are like, how dare you? This is ridiculous. And most people on the left are like, hey, credit to her. This is actually brave, and we need to respect mental health issues and sort of destigmatize it. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Now you know what I think on it.